how to quit smoking weed in 2025. For those of you that don't know, I was the biggest stoner for about 17 years. From about 16 years old to 31, 32, I'm still smoking a little bit at 33. But from 16 to 30, I was high every day at night. I would wake up, I would hit the pink bubbler that was in my mom's basement. I lived in my mom's basement, so I would wake up, I would hit the pink, we had a little baby bong. It was like a little bubbler. We called her Pinky. I would hit that in the morning just to get the day started. That's how my day would start. You gotta wake and bake, you know? Wake and bake, and initially wake and bake was a one-off thing that we would do as high schoolers. On the weekends, we would wake and bake and then go to IHOP. So you wake up, you smoke, then you go out, eat your junk food breakfast, and life's all great, right? I didn't initially start by smoking in the mornings. I initially would go to high school, and then after school I'd just start smoking blunts and shit. That then led to me eventually distributing weed. Right, this is what, 15 years ago? Started buying half ounces and ounces, breaking that down, selling grams. That way I could smoke for free. Right, that then led to me smoking afternoon and night. And then eventually I just got this little bubbler that I could just hit in the basement. And then I would wake up, hit the bubbler, afternoon, smoke a J. I would have a bowl behind my restaurant at the pizzeria I worked at, behind this wall, behind the restaurant. I would just keep it there. That way I didn't have to drive with me with the bowl. And then, yeah, I could just rip the bowl in between deliveries. And then at the end of the night when I go home, that's when I could hit the GB or the gravity bong and really get fucking blitzed. That's when I could really get blitzed. And I would just go through that process over and over and over again, to the point where the only real times I would get high is probably that first hit in the morning. I'd be a little buzzed because you're just waking up. And then maybe at night if I was like blasting the GB. And then, you know, you get to a point where you're smoking just to get back to sobriety. It's kind of crazy. You just smoke to feel normal, right? And then anytime you get triggered throughout the day, you gotta smoke. Anytime you're doing something fun, you gotta smoke. So anytime you're stressed out, anytime you gotta go to sleep, anytime you gotta eat, anytime you're gonna go do something fun, it's like, fucking A, dude, the smoking weed became the catalyst for doing anything, right? With that mindset, it's like, oh, we're gonna watch a movie, gotta get high. Gonna eat, gotta get high. Gonna go play basketball, gotta get high. Gonna go to bed, gotta get high. Just woke up, gotta get high. They pissed me off, gotta get high, right? It's crazy, and that was just the norm. And I hung around kids that did the same shit. If we were just gonna hang out, we would just chill and roll up. Yo, what are you doing? Nothing, come through, roll up. Roll up. That's what it was. Yo, what you up to? Nothing, son, roll up, let's go. All right, bet, you want L ride? Sure, pick me up, we'll just drive around and smoke weed. Put on rap instrumentals, get high and just rap. That was what was going on. Now, I did that for like 10 years. I was delivering pizza, I was going to college. Well, I smoked after high school, then I was delivering pizza, going to college, getting high. Then after college, I was a private investigator. I wouldn't smoke weed on the job. Towards my late 20s, I started to dial it back a little bit. I got a little bit more responsible with it. But dude, I was still smoking every fucking night. I wouldn't get high before going into work at that job because it was kind of a serious job. But dude, that was my whole journey for 12 years. 12 years. And then even when I pulled it back a little bit, I was still dependent on that shit, man. I would smoke 5 to 7 times a week, almost every night. Sometimes I wouldn't smoke if I was out drinking for the night. I would go scavenge mode if I was running low on weed. I couldn't find weed. I would start emptying out the corners of my rug in my room, looking under the rug, trying to scavenge together enough of a bowl hit that I could just smoke just to get high. Emptying out roaches, scraping that shit up, scraping out the bowl, just so I could scavenge a little bit of weed, just so I could smoke something. And it starts out very innocent, you know? Even when I was trying to quit, because here's the thing, like, even if you're trying to quit and you give it up for a couple of weeks, it's a very insidious drug. I always use this term with weed, insidious, because it creeps up on you in a sneaky way, because your mind thinks that everything's fine. I've gone a week without it, I can smoke. It's been a month, it's not a problem, I can smoke. It's been 3 months, I got it under control now, I can smoke, right? But then what you don't realize is the moment you smoke, well, first off, you'll get high and then you realize, damn, like this is what I've been thinking about nonstop the last couple of weeks or months. What the fuck? This is the same paradox or paradigm that I went through when I was giving up nicotine. I would crave it so much for weeks and months on end to finally hit it. And I was like, felt so stupid that was the whole thing I was obsessing over the last couple of months. And then what happened was, after I went back to smoking the weed, even though 100 days went by or whatever, now I go back to it and I realize, well, fuck, I need to start doing it again. So I would start doing it on a weekly basis. And then that would lead to multiple times on the weekends. And then that would lead to Monday night, me really craving it the one time, so I do it anyway. And then before you know, I'm just right back into it full blown. And so I went on and off and on and off with weed for a really long time. Really, really long time. Once I started trying to push myself more socially, I realized that there was a higher level of myself that could socialize and be more confident when he was sober. That's what I noticed for myself. It took me a while to get to that point, but I just knew deep down that I could be more confident and I was more charismatic when I wouldn't smoke the weed. I had less doubts in my mind, and I noticed I had a better baseline vibe when I wasn't high. And that wasn't enough for me to fully give it up, but it was an awakening. It was a realization that I had of like, okay, I would be sober, I would feel better, I would still have the urge to smoke, and eventually I would give in. After some time I would go back to it, and then when I'm high and I'm in it and I'm like, damn man, like this is what I was craving, what the fuck? And then I also noticed, damn, I'm not feeling as confident right now, and then I would get off of it and then I would go sober, and then I'd be back in that good vibe. And that contrast of going back and forth, some of you guys are so deep down in it that you don't see the other side. When you're giving up the weed, you're just going through a withdrawal. So it's just this negative low, and you don't even see any of the upside right now. So if you're somebody who's trying to quit weed, one of the biggest practical pieces of advice I could give you is, when you're first going through the withdrawals, you don't see the other side because it's so far away. All you have is the negative effects of the withdrawal. So you don't even realize that it's positively impacting your life. And that's what I went through myself for a very long time, which is like, I don't even think I actually want to stop smoking. In my opinion, my life with smoking is better. But I was comparing my life with smoking versus the life not smoking, but it was really the life in withdrawal. And that's not a good comparison, because it really takes more than like 6 months of full sobriety. 6 months. 6 months, man. And that's a far distance for a dude who smokes every day. To tell somebody, hey, you got to give this up for 6 months. Torturous, bro. Makes me want to roll up a blunt right now. 6 months. Nah, I mean, in all honesty, guys, at this point, I'm like 2 years clean off weed. I don't know, about a year. But the last year, 1 full year not smoking at all, but maybe only 2 or 3 times in that year before that. And then the year before that, maybe like 5 times. And before that, I was full blown, right? But dude, when you're trying to quit, you're not even gonna see the upside. You just kind of know that you shouldn't be doing it, and it fucks with your dopamine. It increases doubt in your brain. It creates hesitancy in your brain, and really, you don't understand that it makes you complacent and comfortable with living a subpar life. That's what it is too. Smoking weed, it makes you comfortable living an okay life. It makes an okay life slightly above average life. That's what it is. The problem with it though is that it caps you there, and over time, the effect of the weed doesn't even really do anything. So initially, like if you're an average life, it makes your life above average from a perspective standpoint, but over time, the dependency on the weed and the decreased amount of dopamine you get from your day-to-day, it creeps up on you in an insidious way, and then you don't even realize that over time, your life is capped and you're dependent on being high just to go through your day-to-day. And that is the problem with it all. So it creates this imposed ceiling. It creates a ceiling for you that you don't even realize you have, because you're actually looking for the weed for the enjoyment and the fun, but simultaneously it takes away from your true potential, man. That's what it comes down to, because people have been commenting on my Instagram stories and stuff that I post on like 300 days fully sober and shit, and guys are like, yeah, but you don't need to do that. You could still be as successful. You're right, you can. But look, understand, man, if you're somebody who smokes and you're dependent on smoking, and you know if you're dependent on smoking or not, bro, stop playing the fucking bullshit game with yourself. You know if you're dependent on smoking weed, and if you are, understand that there is a better version of you right now that is more disciplined, that is more in control, that is more confident, that has a higher vision for himself. There's a higher level of himself that he envisions. And that guy is not smoking the weed. Now, look, does that mean I will never smoke again? I don't know. I'm at a place right now where it doesn't seem like I ever would. 300 plus days sober. You know, I don't have a desire to. Does that mean I will never do it again? I don't know, but I can say in the near future, I don't plan on. But what I would say is, look, if you're somebody that this video is resonating with and you know you need to get off of it, dude, you got to go at least a year clean, 2 years clean, 3 years clean, 1,000 days before you even consider going back. And even if you're going to go back, dude, that shit should be like once a year, once a month, once a quarter. And that's a slippery slope too. That's the thing. If you got an addictive personality, bro, like for me, the weed, I've actually outgrown the weed. Like I don't even desire that. I desire nicotine, maybe some alcohol, but I'm still 300 days off of everything. So like I don't even have that shit, but maybe at some point in my life, I don't know. But right now, man, it's not worth it. You know why? Because I'm so dialed in with everything else. I have so much momentum going away from that stuff into sobriety. I don't feel like I need it. And I know that there's the better version of myself, the best version of myself, the most disciplined, the most confident, the most successful version of myself isn't on those things. And as long as you're using those things, understand that it creates more doubt, it creates a lower sense of self, it creates a dependency, it creates less natural dopamine production. And for all of those reasons, it will be negatively impacting your future and your potential. All right, so if you're really trying to get off of this stuff, man, I would make a decision. There's a couple things I would recommend doing. Number one, you got to declare this shit publicly that you're done. And you got to commit to a long timeline. Don't say you're giving up for a week or 2 weeks. Minimum, you got to go 100 days, bro. Before you even consider going back, minimum 100 days. I would even say maybe 200. But for some of you guys, committing to 200 up front is so far. I get it. That's like the 6-month thing, right? So on the low end, you got to commit to 100 days. You got to declare that shit publicly. You need to write it down in your journal every morning and track your progress. You need a stronger reason why you need a stronger why behind you going fully sober. You need to put money on the line. You need to make a financial bet with somebody that if you actually give into this thing over the next 100 days, you're going to end up losing the bet, right? And then you need to constantly revisit these pain points on a weekly basis as you go through that progression. Now, what you'll notice is that by day 50, your perspective will have changed a little bit. By day 100, your perspective will change even more. So pay attention to your self-talk as you're going through the process. But you want to utilize reflection, tracking, accountability, and financial investment to incentivize you to stay off of these things for an extended period of time. And then understand as you go through that, your mindset will start to shift. And by day 100, you may find, shit, actually, I made it this far. I don't know if I want to give up indefinitely, but I can keep going now. You can keep going from that point. That's where I'm at right now, 300 days. I'm not saying it'll be indefinitely, but I know for damn sure I can keep going with this thing. I built up too much momentum at this point. And honestly, I genuinely wonder where I would be right now without giving up the weed, the alcohol, the nicotine. Because I would just still be dependent on dopamine. I'd have less discipline in my life. I'd have less control. I'd have a lower vision of myself. I'd have weaker negative self-talk. I could just tell you, the potential that I see within myself wouldn't be anywhere near the levels it's at right now. You want to be the best version of yourself, you got to go fully sober. This is how it's done. If you want help fast-tracking this process, man, if you want more accountability, more coaching, surround yourself with like-minded individuals that are also going down the same path, because all of that can also help you as well. Click the link down below. Check out the brand new coaching programs I got for 2025. That's all for this video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. See you tomorrow. Peace out. Let's go.